Welcome to the Elon Show. This show is all about coming out of this situation or any situation without any scratches by using our intellect, our mind, our soul to light up one another, light up your countrymen, light up the world. The world is so much need of enlightenment. Here, hold on. 8 billion people have the same time that you and I have to achieve, to do the things that we like to do. Well, welcome to the Alan Show again. I didn't want to be melodramatic. But what is this obsession? Excuse me. Somebody's sending me. There you go. What is this obsession we have with time? We carry on our wrist. We put it on our, chest. Sometimes in our pockets, in the wallet. They're everywhere. They're big clocks in the city. What is this obsession with time, and why is it so important, valuable in the time, in the life that we are here, right? In this beautiful planet that we share. Oh, there you go. It fell apart. See? My show is not edited, so anything can happen. So we get to play with it. Good illustration. Now, Mr. Planet, I'm going to put you down here. One thing I learned about life is, in all my years, is to have respect for everything. Everything. If you see a rock, a rock can be very valuable in its own time and space and moment. Could save somebody's life. How many times you heard somebody protected themselves with a rock that's just laying there? In that moment was precious. So everything in life, whether it's as insignificant for the moment as it can be, all the way up to the masterpieces and things that we have created, they have their importance in time and space and in moment. When you go to a museum, right, they're nothing more than time capsules, right? This happened that time, and this from that era, this, and it kind of gives us like a little fingerprint, right? Like a thumbprint of who we are as people and what we have accomplished. And the only way we can manage this is through time. If you go to any museum, in the little thing, this description there, you will always find either an approximate time or an accurate, perfect time. Like if it's a painting from some famous painter, it'll say the year, or it'll say the age and the, excuse me, the birthday, right? The time of the painter. Gives us an illustration of what it's about. So what is time, right? And why is it so important for us? We're running out of time, or we have too much time, or we have no time at all for anything. Sorry, kids, I don't have time. Sorry, boss, I can't stay today. I have no time. Sorry, or the opposite. Hey, can you hire me? I have all the time of the world to work for you and make you successful. Hey, I have time. Do you want to go for a coffee? Hey, I have time. Would you like to go on a date with me? Hey, I have time, honey. Can we take some time for ourselves, right? So, you see, in every single event around our lives, time, it's important. But what happens when we have good times and bad times? How do time management become so crucial? And how do we value time, right? How do we value that time? Well, as a salesman, I can tell you that time is the most precious commodity that we have in the inner works of the trade, because the way we manage income is by the time and effort that we put in, and then that's how we rate how valuable our job is, right? Like some people, they work by the hour, some people they work by commission, but at the end of the day, you want to give yourself an idea on how much is my time worth in my trade or what I'm doing, right? So in times, in good times, right? Your time can be a little secondary, right? Like, I'm doing good. I can go here, I can go there, go on vacation. Let me stay another week. And then we become very liberal with time, right? Also, in bad times, terrible times, like if you go to certain places in the world, right? People are just sitting there for days, hours, months, weeks, years. They're not doing much. There's not much to do, right? In their environment that they're in, there's not much in their perception to do with time. Now, if you go to first worlds or emerging economy, I love emerging economies because they appreciate time more than anybody because they're emergent, they're on the upswing, and they cannot wait to wake up and, it's a collective group to make their goals to achieve what they're doing. So we know that I always said, since I was a kid, I always look. I'm being weird like that all my life. I look at a watch, right? The mechanical ones I like, but the regular watch. I said, why watches are 12 hours? Watches are 24 hours. They should be 24 hours. They should be 24 hours. That way you know exactly the time that's in your hand. But why was it created this way, right? Because people from long time ago only think in terms of daylight, right? Only think in terms of when the time is out there, So a lot of people dismiss completely the hours of the night. Now, in the modern world, we don't stop. It's a 24-hour world, right? When one shift come out, another one come in those big factories that they make stuff, and it's a 24-hour rotation of production. So when time is fully used, it creates a lot of production. It creates a lot of things, and it thrives people, right? Because people measure everything in time, right? So 12 hours, right? What do most people say? I woke up really early in the day, right? Oh, I wake. Hey, how early do you wake up on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, right? And 99% of people will tell, oh, I wake up very early. I woke up at 5 a.m. in the morning. And another will say, oh, no, well, I wake up at 7. And somebody more like me, hey, I wake up at 8, And we consider that still early. But the day did not start right here. The day started right there. So we are always late when it comes to the next day, right? You can see that when you travel to another part of the world where the hours are shift, and you show up over there and it's like pitch black, and and you're like, oh my God, I have so much energy and everybody's sleeping. The jet lag, right? The shift. You can see how time, right, can fluctuate and varies in our psychic, right, in our mind. So when we are looking at a clock, by the way, this is part of selling and nothing to do with any professional, this is just for entertainment purpose, and it's to pick our brain, because in times like changing times, which is every day is changing times, and some are harder than others for different types of people, right? Time, right? This is just to give you an illustration and pick your brain and kind of make you think a little bit outside the box. So when a lot of people, right, are waking up, right, like let's say 6 on average, right, that's half of this clock, right? So we have missed Wednesday from 12:01 to pretty much 5:59. So that's almost what? That would be 1/4 of the day. Because this is 1/4, 2 quarters, and you got to go around it again. So how do we how do we how is this important in our lives? Well, it's the only thing you have. It's the only thing you have that nobody can take away from you unless you passed on. As long as you live, what you do with your time is always going to be up to you, no matter in what condition or situation you are. A lot of people, right, talk in terms of happiness and unhappiness. Am I, what I, the moment I'm in, am I happy or am I unhappy, right? And the question is, well, what are you doing with your time, right? How valuable is your time? And what are you doing with it? What truly are you doing? Are you building something, destroying something, or simply not doing anything, right? There are always three choices, right? So the world, right, is constantly in renovation. Whew, people constantly renovating. You tear buildings down, you put new ones up, you change, you pave the roads one after another. It's all constant movement, right? So what is time? Time is movement. Right? What happens if I stop the clocks? What happens if I stop all the clocks of the world where you can no longer tell time? Well, people will start looking at the skies for a sign of time, right? Like they used to do in the old days. Put those little sticks with it, right? And we will figure a way out to still measure time because it's the only thing that we have that give us an equilibrium with the rest of, the activities that we do. Well, how long X person has been here today because I have to pay him. If you don't have a way to tell time, how are you going to know how much to pay him? And, right? So every single day, right, we look at this thing, right, and we either wasting it, using it, right, or abusing it. So time, right, is the other thing called times. Time is our time. Times is all of us times. This is the times, right? This is the way of the times. This is changing times. This is, right? And people always talk in terms of time, a measurement, right, of the invisible, right? If I put you in a small room, right, with no lights or anything, and I let you stay there, and depending on your mind, and let's say I take 5 people for a little test, they will all have different ideas of how long they were in there, right? Depending on their own perception and gravity of the situation that they feel in, right? Some people, a minute in there will feel like an eternity, right? Some people, they will like just be chill and relax, and they feel like, I haven't even been there, right? So when we approach things according to times, we're gonna find 2 things. Sometimes it will irritate us. I gotta go to work. And the first thing that you put in your mind is the time that you have to go put in there, right? And it's not a pleasant place, although work is not supposed to be fun. That's why you're getting paid for it. Otherwise, who pays you for fun, right? How many people live in failure, right? Just having fun, because nobody's paying them for it. I don't even know how they can afford to have fun all the time, right? So fear, right, keeps people from taking advantage of time. And people who abuse time and don't see the value in time, they tend to be failure, Not so much as a terrible connotation. It's just simply, if you look at people that have a lot of leisure in their hands, a lot of time in their hands, they don't have much to show for it, unless they already done it, right? They put in a lot of time and not living off that, right? So For the young minds, right? For the younger, this is your asset. This is all you have. You could go to the greatest temples of knowledge. In the end, this is how they're going to measure all that. And this is how you're going to measure that reward, right? How much you put in, how much you take. In the end, you do the math and you say, well, this is not working or this is working, right? So how we value time is going to determine the good times or the bad times that we're going to have. We're talking about a lot of things these days, and the reason why I'm giving these is because it doesn't matter what's happening outside. What matters is what you're doing with this. If they raise your prices, right? Can you go talk to them and say, lower my prices? Well, you can do that, but that doesn't mean they're going to do it. So you need to go to time and go manage it. Say, how do I get more out of this so that I can afford that, right? And that is the difference in going through a crisis without any scratches, right? Like we always say, or completely end up in a failure situation. No way out, right? Wealth, health, all these things, good times, require a good time management. When I was starting in sales, I used to notice that the top sales people, right? I was just barely studying. They were always doing something, making phone calls, doing something, right? And I was learning, so I didn't know much. So the very little I did, I started finding a little bit of result, but not quite as that. So I started noticing and learning from the people that were actually succeeding. At the end, right, your finances are important. Your faith, whatever is it, but your faith is important and your fun is important. But all this has to be within the context of time and to benefit, right, to keep you from this situation. After all, everything in this life is a test. Everything. And you have to be fearless. Otherwise, what's the point of waking up? You have to be fearless. There are going to be obstacles in every single day. Some bigger, some smaller, but some will give you the strength, right, to grow, to overcome bigger situations in future time. But if we waste in time, right, we won't even know the obstacles because the wall will be so big, we can't even see time anymore. So my point, right, is that in order to have good times, right, good times, you have to have good time management. You wake up in the morning, you do your little routine, right? You create a little calendar, right? A little schedule for yourself. It's not that hard. Excuse me. Right? Like I always say, pen and paper. How hard can that be, right? So you light up your coconut, right? Light up your coconut and do the scheduling, manage your time, and then manage your production. How much are you getting out of this time? And you start seeing opportunities. Activity creates opportunities. That's why time never stops. If we were to stop time, we stop the entire world. The entire world, our country, everything will stop. If time were to stop right now, nothing will make sense anymore because everything that we have built, right, is based on that. The schedule that you're going to work, how the trucks, how everything moves, right? Products, services, everything. Computers will now work, right? How computers will work without time? Everything is stamped, right? So you remember Y2K? How big of a deal was that? Because of the clock that it was, right? And it turned out to be fixable, right? But what I'm saying is that in your own head, right? If you don't see time as the most precious asset that you have, that if you're going to waste it, make sure that you get something out of it. Even if it's fun, right? Yeah. Faith. Yeah. You can go, for example, you can go to a place where you think you're going to have fun, right? And you're going to spend maybe 3 hours, 4 hours. And when you come out, you wasted money, you wasted your health, right? Right? Because maybe you had a little too much, and then in the end, it was a disadvantage. It was a failure. The night was a failure. How many of us have we ever been in that situation? Right? Where we went out with all this great plan, we had the time, we actually made the time for it, right? Because we wanted to get something positive out of it, and it turned out to be a disaster, right? Same thing happens for investments, right? We put in the money, we put in the time, and the investment, right? Markets go up and down, and we just happen to be in a down market, and it was a disaster, right? So, but thank God we have time to recuperate. We have time to do it again. And from that obstacle, from that experience, from that pain, right, the games we play, hurt and pain. So from that experience, we managed to correct situations, to correct and make the adjustments that with time might have a different result and a positive result. Right now, the world, right, is talking about running out of time. You see how important this is? There's a mad collective madness that believes that the world is running out of time because they're looking at the clock the wrong way. If that is the case, how would they know anyways? It's been thousands of years already. But they know this. They're for sure. Well, maybe they know something because right now with technology, right? But what is the point, right? The end result, right? What is the end result of all this collective, euphoria, right? Time management. The only time that matters is your time, your personal time, because that's the one that's going to provide you for the things that you need, for the happiness that you're looking for, whether it's with your family, with your art, with whatever is it that you trade with, and also friendship, right? You have to have time for friendship. You have to have time for your health, right? You exercise and do all those nice things that you're supposed to be doing, your doctor routines. A lot of people say, oh, I don't have time to go physical. You mean in 365 days, you don't have 2 hours to go see your doctor, make sure you scan your body and make sure you're clean, right? You clean, you get a clean a bill of health and take that off your mind. Right? Because when you don't do something that is already in your mind, it bugs you. It's like a little tick, 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 like a little bing, bing. So think about this. This is not edited, so I'm trying to think about this. If imagine if every single minute of your life, time will be reminding you. You hear this. Imagine that every minute there's a chime like this in your mind. So you're going, how annoying that would be. So you can see how merciful time is, right? They do this by the hour, right? This is a Big Ben. I think they do it hourly, right? And so, but imagine the whole entire city of London gets to hear this, right? So time is like that. It's a very quiet and passive chime that's in your head that it always tells you whether you're wasting it, you're using it productively, or you need to pay more attention to it, right? The main purpose of this is to help us thrive positively as a species, collectively, so we can have a uniform situation. When we look at the world, excuse me, when we look at the world, right, there is little lines here on this You can see these. You see these lines here, right? They're all time zones, and it goes from 0, right, to 24 all around it. And these are the different time zones that the different countries fall under, so that we have a uniform, right, way of living wherever you are, except if you live in this part of the world, right? And you move all the way around to, let's say, Australia, right? Oh, this thing is falling apart. I need a, but I see, I appreciate. So let's say you live all the way here. You're gonna need some time to adjust. I don't know how long, it varies for everybody, but that's called a jet lag, or, so because your life is accustomed to live at certain time, and they're probably like, I don't know, like, I think it was like 13, 14 hours ahead. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can check it. But, so you see how time is so important globally, right? So you hear things like, also like the end of time, right? Crisis, the end of times. Please turn that off. They're trying to sell you something, right? You can sell in 3 different ways. You can scare people, you can tempt people, temptation, right? Or you can you can force it. But no, okay? When people talk in generalities like that, like they own the universe, right? They will always be proven wrong by time. How many empires are out there that ravish their zones, right? And time proves them wrong. You can go to the museum. Those people they might live in a different way, but they're not those people anymore. So this is the modern way, right? We do things. And when people talk about crisis, and it only matters if you're wasting your time. But if you take advantage of the situation and you manage your time properly for your wealth, for your health and relationship, I cannot give you tips or anything, because everybody's different, but you know what you need. But as long as you take advantage of the written word, right? All the knowledge and power that is out there, you can empower yourself. So until the next time, right? Remember, keep up with the times, or you'll be in a museum. I love you. Take care.